What's up, YouTubers? It's me, Johnny. I just want to make a short video on what's going on in Turkey. This is a article that came out a couple days ago, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because people are starting to notice kind of the slow motion collapse in Turkey. Anyways, this is a New York Times article. It says Turkey's doctors are leaving, the latest casualty of spiraling inflation. Why that's important in my mind is because things are bad when the doctors leave and when professionals leave. The same thing happened in Haiti many years ago. Same thing happened in Venezuela many years ago. The same thing's happening in Lebanon right now. And I would guess, oh, what's that other country? Lebanon. Oh, I forget. There's another country where this kind of going to the dogs too. As these countries and as more and more countries inflate their money supply to get themselves out of this coronavirus thing, things are just falling apart. So all the professionals are leaving Turkey, and that's causing an acceleration of high prices already because there's no more professionals. It's causing an acceleration of middle class people to leave. So there's going to be more and more people coming into first world countries where they can get jobs and work and do what they can do to survive. This is also, I mentioned, let's see, Venezuela, um, Haiti, I forgot, Argentina is the same thing. So when when countries start collapsing because of inflation, they leave. The thing about Turkey is, in Turkey, there's about 2 million immigrants, not Turkish people, but immigrants from the Middle East. And Turkey has made a deal with the EU to not let them cross the border. If that deal falls apart, or if things keep getting worse, those 2 million, illegal immigrants will probably flood into Europe. Not to mention a couple million of Turkish people will flood in. That's going to cause a lot of hell and chaos, in my opinion. Anyways, the article just talks about how there's more and more violence against doctors. That's true of like in China even. But as the economy gets worse, the wages of doctors is almost nothing. It's almost nothing. And so if you were a doctor, what would you do? You would probably leave. Now, people who are doctors probably have visas, and they also probably speak English, and they have the ability, well, they probably already have a passport and the ability to go to any country they want to. And as this article points out, a lot of these doctors are going to Germany. Apparently, Germany has a special deal where they can go to Germany and learn the language and then take some kind of test where they can practice medicine after they take the test. Now, in the United States, what a lot of doctors like from the Philippines do, or doctors from other countries, is they come to the States, but they don't work as doctors. They just work as nurses and stuff like that. So apparently Germany is making it easier for doctors actually to stay doctors and work there. Anyways, I'm just pointing out that as things start to melt down more and more in countries where the government is not going to stop printing money, and as inflation gets higher and higher and higher, there's going to be more protests, there's going to be more violence. And as this article points out, there's like a lot of violence against doctors. Apparently what happened was that the president there, he made medical care free. So that's flooded the medical system with lots of people getting free health care. And so people, the doctors, the nurses, the professionals don't have time and energy to serve them all. So they have to find a way to strain it. So not everyone can get their free medicine. So people get pissed off and start shooting doctors or killing them, or nurses too. Anyways, I just want to point out that there's no free lunch, and printing money and promising free healthcare, it's going to create a catastrophe in these countries. It already is. I just want to point out how in Turkey that it's already started. And I'm just reminded of Haiti when all the doctors, I'm reminded of Venezuela, especially, when in Venezuela when all the plastic surgeons left the country for Mexico, Argentina, Colombia. There's a lot of Venezuelan plastic surgeons in Colombia, so just to put that out there. Things are pretty bad when they have to leave. So I personally think we're heading into a recession. The world's going to get much worse, and I think prices are going to continue going higher. Maybe not in every country, and maybe the rate of inflation in some countries will slow down, but it will be higher than it was in 2017, 2018. And this is going to create a lot of anger. I don't know what the politicians are going to do. I personally don't believe the Fed is going to really raise interest rates a lot. Maybe once, maybe twice. Once they raise interest rates like 5 or 6 times, if they were actually do that and actually crush inflation, all the government promises would go out. They would be bankrupt. You couldn't fund them anymore. So I expect 1 or 2 interest rates increases. Then I'm guessing we're just going to get more and more inflation, and all these debts the government ran up in the past and also in the last 2 years because of COVID, that's just going to get erased by inflation. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be hyperinflation. As of right now, I don't believe that's the case. Again, as this unfolds, if the governments lose control of this, it could be hyperinflation, but right now I doubt it. Another thing I want to point out, all over the world, because of all this inflation, there's really high asset prices, and even with the recent correction, there's still really high asset prices. And as those asset prices come down, more and more pensions, at least in Western countries, will be bankrupt. That's another reason I don't see the Fed or the EC really raising rates. The ECB has already said they're not going to, but the Fed will have to eventually capitulate because how they can pay out pensions, how private pensions are going to be able to pay out if interest rates go up and all their assets go down. I don't see that happening, but we will have to see. Anyways, I just wanted to share this article on Turkey. Another thing I want to mention of Turkey, 1 or 2 days ago, they just made not a law, but they're trying to encourage people in Turkey to give up their gold and trade it in for Turkish lira. It's, I guess, now voluntary, but the idea that they're going to get Turkish people to voluntarily give up their gold to the government to get paid in Turkish lira that's depreciating, I don't think they're going to get too many takers. And again, I want to point out this is another clue. When governments say you have to hand in your gold, you can't own Bitcoin, you can't own assets, you can't send your assets offshore like in Turkey. They're making it very tough to send money offshore. You know this is the beginning of the end. We'll have to see what happens. But all in the past, it was only a few countries that did this. And you could always put your capital in different countries and never really worry about exchange controls too much. But now the ECB, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, they're all printing money like mad. They haven't put in exchange controls, but I wonder if they will. I don't think they'll be popular or very successful because then all the retirees and people who live overseas, and now it's a lot of young people who live overseas, they won't be able to access their money. That's why I keep harping on the subject. If you have a bank account or a credit card or ATM card, the way things are going and the way the technology is going, they can shut that account off if they so desire. That's why I think it's really, really important to own gold, to own Bitcoin, and if you can, have some offshore accounts not in your name. Anyways, that's it for now. I'm going to sign off. Sorry for the noise. I realize there's lots of noise. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.